Good morning, students. I welcome all of you to this another session of Structural Analysis 2. I hope you all are doing well and preparing yourself along with the sessions those are going on, and also practicing the numericals those we discussed during the sessions. Now, in this previous 4 lectures, we have discussed what is a fixed beam, how to analyze a fixed beam, which are the methods, what are the advantages, and what are the limitations. So, there is always a wide variety of indeterminate structures that exist in the real structural systems. And since now we all are aware that most of the structural systems that surrounds us are indeterminate to minimum to maximum number of degrees, right? And they also vary in their nature, like indeterminacy is external or internal, as well as static or kinematics. Now, since it's an introduction, we started with the most basic type of, most common rather, type of the indeterminate structure, that is a fixed beam. So, after analyzing fixed beams, where we targeted to find the fixed and moments, and then we simplified the structure into the simply supported beam and find the reactions in terms of shear forces, and we also developed the diagrams for the shear force. And now we are ready to go ahead with the another type of the very similar and common indeterminate structure, that is propped cantilever beams. You know, the simple cantilever like means ordinary cantilever, which is fixed at one end and free at the another end, which is usually used in the canopies, in balconies, and in similar platform like structures, where you need to extend some part of the floor outside the building, or the exterior surface you want to extend. So, in such cases, you may use cantilevered beams. However, in industrial structures, in residential, commercial structures, or let us say little more complex structural systems, we require to support partially these cantilevers at their free ends. So, which creates the example of the propped cantilevers. Now, it is not necessary that you should use only hinge supports at far end, which is free in terms of cantilevers. Sometimes you may use rollers as well, because the most of the kinematic indeterminacy requirements are satisfied with the fixed end joint of the beam. But on the free end, when you support it, it becomes kinematically indeterminate by some degrees of freedom, right? So there are always chances, there are always possibilities to rotate, to have rotation at the supported end in case of cantilevers. So today we would like to explore those possibilities, and we will be using the notion, the concept of consistent deformation method. Right. Now, you need to focus on this term consistent and deformation. So, in case of let's say fixed beam here, you can see that wherever there is a force which is applied on these beams, it will get transferred to these junctions in terms of reactions and moments on this wall completely, right? But in case of the prop cantilevers, not moments are transferred at both ends. So moments are largely transferred at the fixed ends only, and only the reaction which are transferred at one end as well as the other end. So, being an indeterminate structure, how we can find the solution for the unknown forces, right? And draw the shear force and bending moment diagrams. So our today's focus is on solution of the prop cantilever type of beams with regular common type of loading, as well as we'll also see that if you vary the moment of inertia or the stiffness of the beam, how it will impact on the behavior and calculation of the required quantities, namely moments and shear forces. This was the slide which we discussed on the last lecture, where I showed you if you have similar type of standard cases like case number 1 here, case number 2 here, right? Even you can go up to 3 and 4 here, right? So all these are 4 to 5 options are available, which you can easily solve by moment area method for the fixed beams, also by converting fixed beam into the simply supported beam. However, when you have unsymmetrical loading, it is always advisable to use Macaulay's method. We also had a demonstration of this method, how to solve the problems, even with the complex conditions of the forces like this. Right. Now, let me first of all explain you what we mean by uh, other requirements of the structural stability. So you know that we have three conditions of equilibrium, like sigma h equals to 0, sigma v equals to 0, and sigma m equals to 0. We all have understood that how these three conditions of equilibrium helps to protect the structure against any unexpected deformations. That means primarily they are working for stability, right? So sorry, basic stability can be confirmed. These are the tools which you can use for confirmation of the stability, right, of the structure. Now there is one more requirement from the ordinary structures, like for example, let's have this as your cantilever beam, right? So this is the ordinary cantilever beam that we have supported on some walls on the other end. So let us say this is the cantilever beam which I am supporting on a wall, right? So that's your wall over here, okay? Or any support you can assume, except fix, right? So it is ideally a simply supported or friction joint. That's it, right? Now, when you load these beams or this type of beams, which are called prop cantilever, this is nothing but prop cantilever, and this is called prop. Prop means support, right? Additional end, additional support, which provides better stability to the structure. So you can very well assume that if it would have been, simply a cantilever like this, then what would have been the behavior of this kind of beams under this force? Definitely this beam would have gone to the deflection like this. Maximum deflection at fixed end and some deformation under just under the load also. And accordingly, on the fixed ends, you may have the reactions in terms of reacting moments as well as reactive forces. Let's say this is W, so this will be W again. Now, when you provide this kind of supports on the far end or free end of the cantilever, you are basically restricting this movement. Now, please understand, you are stopping this to happen. That means you are not allowing your structure to undergo this level of the deflection. Okay. So why it happens? Because you have provided equal and opposite support or reaction at that particular free end of the cantilever. Right. So now the distribution of this shear force and bending moment will not be similar to the earlier case where the structure was freely extending the forces. Since now you have converted the nature of the structure, its structural behavior also gets affected. Let us say this is your cantilever and again I am using the same force, but I have a roller here. So because of this, what happens is, now earlier you can see that you have a large deflection which you can expect at free end, but now it is not possible because you have support. So in short, delta is 0 at free end. Free end, right? So this has become indirectly a condition. This, that means the deflection should be 0 at this end, has become a condition for this particular structure to be in the equilibrium. Sorry. So if this structure wants to be in equilibrium and wants to show the stability, along with these three reactions, I mean three conditions, it has to satisfy one more condition, and that is delta, that is deflection, should be 0 at this end. And that is just because of this vertical reaction. So we can represent this condition as the primary condition of deformation. So if you want to match the deformation requirements, you can say that the deflection should be 0 at propped end. Right? So there is a notion called compatibility. So compatibility, that means your at every joint, your structure should show the basic requirement from the structure in terms of deformations. That means the deformation requirement should be matching. So what is the deformation requirement for this joint here? It is nothing but the deflection should be 0. That is the requirement of this joint. And so that we can say that this is the condition of compatibility for point B. Let us say end B. Let us say if this is A and this is B. Okay. So can we say that the deflection at B should be 0? Right. So that is the compatibility requirement. Now how we use this compatibility requirement in case of analysis? So we want to ultimately find out shear force and bending moment, and want to draw the composite or combined shear force bending moment diagram of this structure, which is indeterminate. It is not like that. I know that it's not like that you are coming across to the first time to this kind of structures. You already have worked with prop cantilevers, but the method may be different, right? You may have used some methods which simplifies this kind of problems. But when you come across to the prop cantilevers, it is always advisable to utilize the methods which are convenient to solve the problem according to the loading conditions. So we will be exploring basically three types of the possibilities for prop cantilever beams for analysis using the condition of compatibility or consistent deformation method. Right. Now, why the method is known as consistent deformation? So that means at every joint, every node, basically, let me change the slide. For example, basically, when you have a linear element like this, you have two nodes, right? And when you introduce a type of support, particular support, it gets converted into the particular type of beams, right? So supposing you have reaction like this. So this is node 1, this is node 2. So at every node, if this beam wants to be in equilibrium, let us say A and B. So beam AB, if wants to be in equilibrium at every joint, consistently, it should provide the satisfaction or the satisfactory requirements to be fulfilled, which are necessary for stable equilibrium, and that stability comes from the deformation requirements. So at any joint, the deformation should be maintained. That means there should not be the deformation which creates unexpected behavior of the beam. For example, if you say that, let me simplify your concept. If this is the fixed end, what is the requirement in terms of, let us say, equilibrium? you know that sigma V, H and M should be 0. We all know this. So if you satisfy these three requirements by introducing a fixed beam, then we can say that this is a fixed joint. But what in terms of rotation as well as deflection? Both should be 0. If these two quantities, in addition to these requirements, are also maintaining this behavior, then only you can say it is 100% fixed beam, a fixed end. And these requirements are not equilibrium requirements, these are the deformation requirements. So there are two requirements, practically speaking, in any structure to be in equilibrium or to be in safe and stable condition. One is conditions of equilibrium. These are called COE, and second is conditions of deformations, and that should also behave in the desired manner. So when we know that uh, it is a case or discussion about the fixed end, we can say that the deformation in terms of rotation, as we know that this is rotation, okay, and the translation, right? Translation may be in terms of horizontal direction or vertical direction. That means the deflection basically should not be permittable. So rotation as well as deflection both should be 0, and then only we can categorize this joint as fixed joint. So similar to this condition, at every joint, according to the type of the support, when you are fulfilling the deformation requirements, then we can say that it is following the requirement of consistent deformation. Consistent means persisting, that means continuous, right? And consistent deformation, that means the deformation stability or safety should be maintained at every joint. For example, if I'm assuming that this joint or this node, I'm introducing a hinge, right? So according to the deformation requirements, what are the conditions available? So theta will be non-zero. So there will be a rotation, right? Either in clockwise or anti-clockwise. But deflection will be definitely 0 because you have vertical reaction. So the only possibility for this joint is deflection should be 0. There should not be any deflection in vertical direction, and the rotation should be 0 again, and there is no non-zero again, and there should not be any case of the horizontal movement as well, because you have, you know, connected it with the hinge supports. So in case of fixed we have seen just now, and in case of roller, let us say this is a roller support. So what should be the functional requirement or deformation requirement? Theta is non-zero, right? Deflection in horizontal direction is also non-zero, but deflection in vertical is 0, right? So if unless and until this three conditions are satisfied, this joint cannot be categorized as your roller support, irrespective to whatever end conditions available on the other end. But since we are dealing with the prop cantilever, it is well expected that on the far end you have fixed joints only, right? So for fixed joint, what are the deformation requirements? Just now we have discussed rotation should be 0, as well as translation in horizontal or in vertical direction, everything should be 0. So this is deformation, this is rotation, everything is 0. Here you have rotation which is non-zero, but deflection in vertical direction is definitely 0, as well as deflection in horizontal direction is also 0. So these are the conditions of deformation, and which are used in the method of solution for indeterminate cantilever beams in terms of consistent deformation method. So consistent deformation method creates the equation of stability of the joints. So let me write, and you should also write down if you have your writing tools with you. Uh, Consistent deformation method. So in a structure at each joint, it is possible to write an equation demonstrating or showing the conditions of the stability of the joint for deformation. So you need to write an equation which shows that deformation requirements are satisfied. If you simply write down delta V equals to 0, anybody will understand that whatever is the case, irrespective to loading conditions, span of the beam, or variety in the loading, again symmetrical, unsymmetrical, whatever is the case, ultimately the support or the joint at this particular location, let us say if I write delta VB, that means at joint B, the vertical deflection is always 0. So this becomes the compatibility condition, and also can be said that it is fulfilling the need of consistency of the structure at the deformation level. So consistently, all the joints, let us say joint number one, joint number two, all should be satisfying equilibrium or stability conditions for joints against the deformation. So in this consistent deformation method, we will check that at desired or at any point, the requirement of consistent deformation is satisfied. So continuously, it should be satisfying all the requirements of supports by its nature. Let us say hinge should not be resisting moments. It should be allowing moments, so rotation will be non-zero, but it should be providing uh, resistance to the vertical deflection as well as horizontal displacement. So these three becomes the primary requirements of consistent deformation of this particular end, and these are also known as compatibility condition for this joint as well. So by taking help of this compatibility conditions, we shall be trying to solve problems based on cantilever prop cantilever beams. So with this amount of theory, that is sufficient. And now let's go to the numerical solution. Let's explore how to solve it. So by taking directly one numerical, very simple and very basic numerical, because primarily I want to show you how to solve the problem. Let's say this is a case where I have one point load, and the value of this point load is, let's say, 10 Newton. It is located at equidistant from both the supports. You have 3 meters from each end. You just need to draw this in your notes in case if you are interested. Otherwise, right now you can focus, because once you understand this basic technique of solution of problems of prop cantilevers, I can ask you and I can give you some more conditions of similar nature. So now you have to check that if I want to make this prop cantilever, which is indeterminate structure, how I can make it determinate. Right? So if you examine this particular beam, if I want, what is the hurdle that you have to think about? So if I write down or if I draw simply the you know free body diagram of this structure, ideally, without considering the horizontal force. So right now what's happening is there are conditions, let's say 3 plus 1, right, say 4, right, and 1 is the static indeterminacy of the structure, because we have 3 conditions of equilibrium, we have 4 reactions, and if we have one more reaction in the system, that means it makes the structure indeterminate. So you cannot obtain, you cannot simply say that 10 is the loading, it is symmetrical, so 5 will go at point A and 5 will go at point B. It is not possible because it is statically indeterminate structure by 1 degree. So for that you have two options with you, to make the structure determinate first and then use the principle of method of superposition, and using that you can definitely obtain your unknown quantities, because our ultimate aim of analysis of this type of structures is to find out the unknown quantities and draw the shear force and bending moment diagrams. But since it is statically indeterminate structure, you cannot use direct, or it is not sufficient to use the conditions of equilibrium only. Right. So I was discussing that there is a method which is known as consistent deformation. For that, first of all, you have to identify which quantity is addition or which quantity is extra. That means out of this 4 reactions, if I, how can I convert this structure to the determinate structure? By playing with the reactions. So there are two possibilities popularly or commonly. The first option and most convenient option is, if I remove this, let us say reaction VB, let's say this is A, so I'll be having some reaction at A, so that is called VA, and here it is VB, right? So if I remove this vertical reaction, my structure becomes determinate, simple, right? And another possibility is, if I release the moment over here, this moment if I release, in that case my structure becomes simply supported. So that is also again a determinate structure. So the only thing or only point you have to remember is, when you are providing solution to the prop cantilever beams, the first step is to make the structure determinate by identifying the redundant or additional condition. So in this option number A, you have let's say this VB as additional requirement. So if you remove it, your structure becomes determinate. In option number B, here, if you remove this MA, release the moment MA, your structure becomes determinate. So after identifying the redundants, this is called redundant quantity. Redundant means additional, extra, right? Redundant. Redundant can be in form of vertical reaction. It can be in form of, moment also, or it can be a horizontal thrust or torsion also. Right? That depends on your structure. But primarily we are going to deal with this two redundants. One may be the reaction and second may be the moment. Now, when you want to create your determinate structure from indeterminate structure, if you remove the support, your structure becomes determinate. But in original structure, what is a condition? The condition of stability of the joint is that there may be a rotation, but there cannot be any deflection in vertical direction. That is the requirement here. Right? So this becomes your compatibility requirement. If you want to achieve simply supported beam over here, you must satisfy this. So once you remove this reaction, then definitely there will be a deflection. Right? That deflection will be induced by force which is applied over here. Let us say W, that is 10 Newton. So there will be a basic deflection in this beam due to applied load due to the given force, right? Okay, so that is the applied deflection or deflection due to applied force. Similarly, when you reintroduce your redundant force, it will be restricting this downward movement. So that means it will be creating deflection to zero. So can I write down this condition by means of an equation which gives us a kind of compatibility condition. So for this joint B, if I write down deflection at B due to external load, that is capital YB, plus when you apply vertical reaction, there will be a resistance to the deflection at B end, and that should be 0. So this is the compatibility requirement. That means deflection due to external load and deflection due to redundant force should be algebraically added and should be 0. That means you are indirectly saying that sigma or delta V should be 0. Right? So I hope you are getting my point. First of all, you have to identify the redundant and remove it, right? So that you will have some deflection. Now this deflection and the deflection caused by redundant, because once you select the redundant, you have to remove it first, get the deflection in your original structure, in your new structure, and apply redundant as a unit force later on to the original structure by removing external force. So here we are again using the principle of superposition. One by one you are applying the forces. First case you apply only the external load by removing the redundant. In second case you apply only the redundant by removing the external force. And then later on you can club them together by means of this requirements. This is the requirement for consistent deformation stability at point B. So if you have value of, now I just wanted to ultimately tell you, if you want to have, if you have the value of deflection at point B and deflection at point B due to redundant forces, additional forces, you can find the value of vertical reaction at point B. Once you have this vertical reaction at point B, you can happily calculate the other unknown forces like moment at the fixed end as well as another reaction at point A. Similarly, right now we have selected a vertical reaction at point B as redundant, but if in case of the moment that you select as redundant in this case, then how to write this equation? See, here the deformation nature is deflection, but here the deformation is in terms of rotation because it is theta, right? So how can I write this equation? Theta A, that is the rotation induced by the moment due to this force, plus this means external force, plus the redundant force that will also create some amount of rotation at this end, and which should be 0. Then only you can satisfy your basic requirements, because rotation is not possible at fixed end. So in original structure, what it is, in original structure it is fixed joint. So now can you relate this equation with this point A or joint A? We can say yes, because what we have done is, first we release the structure by applying unit redundant force, that is MA. that is unit moment, right? So because of a moment, there will be a unit rotation. So that unit rotation we have written as theta small a suffix a, right? That means at the joint A because of the redundant. And here you have already theta a, which is capital A, because the external load, there will be a moment here, right? You have 10 Newton as a force, and because of that, there will be a rotation, that will be a rotation available at joint A. So when you combine both of them, if you have the value of rotation at theta A due to external load, and if you have the rotation at joint A due to the unit moment applied over here, then you can find out your friction moment easily. Once you have this friction moment, you can go for other forces easily by applying the conditions of equilibrium. So in short, for prop cantilevers, we have two primary equations of compatibility, and that we can utilize to analyze this type of beams. In that, once again, we are using many other old or previously learned concepts like principle of superposition and moment area method we are also going to apply, and we want to check that how we can use that knowledge in this solution of this problem. So here why we have written these equations, because we want to apply the notion or concept of consistent deformation, and we have said that we have proved that we have consistent deformation method satisfied at each end. Okay, now let me show you the solution how we can do it. Method is very simple, however the theory took little more time, no problem at all. Let me show you the solution steps. Let us say this is again our point load of 10 kilonewton. This is 3 meter, this is 3 meter. So the first thing is you have to decide the redundant. So let me decide the redundant over here as vertical reaction, right? So my basic beam will become like this in two parts. So the first thing is find the redundant. So I have selected the redundant and removed it. So this is my structure 1 plus this is cantilever. Now I will not use external force but only the force which I have removed. Right. So let us say this is A, this is B, right? This is A, this is B. For that it is necessary you draw the free body diagram also. That will give you a better clarity. Right. So VA and VB. So in this second case, you have applied VB. Okay. So now when you club this together, it becomes your original structure you can see here. And for this, we can write the condition that deflection at B due to external load plus VB into deflection at point B due to redundant unit load becomes 0. So this is the necessary condition. You can use Y here also. It is not compulsory to use delta. You can ideally utilize capital YB, which shows that deflection due to external load. So that is 10 Newton over here. Now how to get deflection of point B due to external load, and how to get deflection at point B due to unit load, that we have to find out. The value of this will be, let's say 1. All right, so now we can start solution. So the second step is, this was first step, this is second step. Draw the bending moment diagram for each case. So let us say this is your fixed beam, cantilever beam, and you have this force. So my diagram for this load condition will be like something like this. Now here you need to relate yourself with your previous knowledge that you already learned as a concept. So what would be this moment? Simply this moment will be 10 into 3, so that is 30, because 10 is the force in the given problem, 3 is the distance, so 10 into 3 it gives you 30, right? So this makes a simple solution. This will be negative, right, because it is creating hogging like this. Okay, now we are interested to find the deflection of point B due to this load, right? 10. Okay. So that will come back later on, little later. Write down. Right now. Let's write down the another condition. Let us say here you have unit force applied. That is in terms of VB equals to 1. So how it will create the deflection? You should have a notion of that also. It will be creating deflection in upward direction. This we can say capital YB, and this we can say small YBB, right? And that is 2 due to VB force. So combined relation of VB into YBB, right? That will be our equation, right? But we want this value YBB and capital YB, and for that you can draw the diagram of this beam, right, like this. Okay. So you have unit value 1, right? So 1 into 6. So 6 will be your value over here. Just like 30 is in the value over here. But this is basically the moment diagram. So you need to convert it into your M by EI diagram, because you want to use it for analysis of this beam, right? So 6 upon EI, that is your M by EI diagram, and here 30 by EI is your value of this diagram. Now what we have to do, we know that when you want to find with the help of moment area method, earlier we have learned, when you want to find out deflection, you have to take moment of area of this bending MIEI diagram about a point, and if you want to find rotation, you have to consider only the area of the M by EI diagram, right? So I'll be changing the slide and we'll come back to the new slide, and we'll solve it effectively, right? Okay, nevertheless, let's draw this again. I know it will take little time for you to recall these methods. So this is now 30 by EI. That is your M by EI diagram. Right? And here if I draw, on the other hand, on the other slide, if I apply VB equals to 1, that is unit load, I will be drawing the BM diagram for this particular condition, and this is a straight line only, don't take it as a curve. This is also M by EI diagram, right? So here the value is 6 upon EI. All right, now what you have to do, you are interested to find out YB. So that means that is nothing but you have to take moment of this area about point B, that's all. So you know area of M by EI diagram into the CG distance. Right? So area of this diagram will be equivalent to 1/2 BH into X distance. So it will be 2/3 of C. Here you have 2/3 of this, and additionally you have 3 meters. So we'll be writing 2/3 of 3 plus 3. Right? So that is a moment. The entire quantity will be negative because it is a negative diagram itself. So I will add negative value here also. And now I'll be incorporating these values B means, what is a B here? It is 6, sorry 3, right? So 3 into H is 30 upon EI into 3 gets cancelled, so this is 5, right? So now what is the answer? Let me find. You can also try. 30 into 3 divided by 2. So that is 45 into 5. So that is 2 to 5. So here it is negative 2 to 5 upon EI. So that is your YB. Okay, that is your first answer that we have secured over here. All right, and now we can go ahead with the value of this diagram. Right? Let us say what's happening over here. Let's check it. YBB. That means area of this diagram into x distance from B. So that is again 1/2. B is 6 and H is also 6, right? So here it is 2/3 of 6, right? So here you can see that 4, 6 into 6 divided by 2. So here we can see that, what is the answer? Where is the cursor, man? Ah, yes. Okay. Here we can say it is 18, 18 into, let's say, 3 to 4. So that is, here EI we missed. So 72 EI. Right. So we can have now complete answers for both conditions, and when we put these values in our desired equation, that is capital YB plus VB into YBB small ybb equals to 0. So here you have 2 to 5 upon EI plus VB into 72 upon EI equals to 0. So now you know that what you have to do is VB equals to, let's say, 2 to 5, which becomes positive when it goes on the other side, and 72 is in denominator, so it becomes 3.125 Newton, right? Upward, positive. Okay, because EI and EI gets cancelled when you use this term on the other side. So in short, we have, you can see that we have identified VB now. We have calculated VB. So now we can very easily calculate VA as well. So if I use the equation sigma V equals to 0 for this beam, VA plus VB equals to 10. So we know that if we want VA, 10 minus VB, VB is 3.125. So it gives us 6.875. So it is your 6.875 Newton, upward positive. So since now we have some additional information with us, and if I redraw the diagram again, free body diagram, we have identified that this is reaction 6.875 and this is 3.125. This is 10 and this is still unknown. Can you find this unknown quantity now? Right. Of course, we can find if we take moment of all the forces about any of the points, you can definitely find this moment. Right. So for that, let's take a moment of all the forces about point, let's say B. Right. We can take a moment of all the forces about point B, and that will give us the unknown quantity MA, right? So if I consider moment of all the forces, which are the forces 1, 2 and 3, right? So moment should be 0 over here. So 6.875 into total span 6 meters about point B, right? About point B I am taking moment. Okay. So it is clockwise, so negative. Then 10 into 3, so that is anti-clockwise, right? And I have a positive moment, that is MA should be 0. So if I use this now for the calculations, 6.875 into 6 gives me 41.25. Today I have gone a little slow, so that I wanted you to understand properly how this works, consistent deformation method, and later on we can go a little fast, right? So plus MA equals to 0. So 41.25 minus 30, that is 11.25 negative. So 11.25 negative equals to minus MA if I take this MA on the other side. So therefore my moment becomes 11.25 Newton into meter, and since it is positive, it is anti-clockwise according to our sign conventions. Okay. So now we are almost done with all the unknown quantities, and remember that if you still want to draw the combined bending moment diagram, you require some span moments also, right? Because you need to find the moments at all the internal points also if you want to carry out the complete diagram. So let us say this is A, this is B, and this is C. So at least you can find moment at C. So we can find here moment at C as reaction, that is negative 6.875 into 3, right? And since it is anti-clockwise moment, so plus 11.25. So 6.875 into 3, that is 20.625 minus 11.25, it gives me 9.375, that is negative 9.375 Newton into meter. And obviously it is clockwise because it is negative. So this is MC. Now we are almost done with all the requirements to develop the bending moment diagram. So for a composite diagram, let me use this space. Okay, this is the point load, this is your reaction. So if I extend this lines, zero moment line, at this point, let's say A, how much moment we have? We have MA equals to 11.25, that is anti-clockwise, and which creates what? It creates, see the behavior. Now here it will be trying to create this portion going up because it is creating sagging, right? Trying to sag this portion, right? So sagging generally we show above the lines, right? So let me change the color for effective presentation. This is my 11.25, right? And then when I come here just below this point load, I know that what is the value of MC? It is 9.375, but it is creating hogging moment, right? So hogging takes place over here. So that is how we can show hogging over here. And now we can connect this points like this. and eventually this moment dies out when it reaches to the point B, right? Because there is no load variation, so straight line we can use. So this is a positive, this is negative, and this becomes your final combined bending moment diagram. As far as the shear force diagram is concerned, it is very simple. Use your conventional method of developing shear force diagram. What is the reaction at point A, VA? Let's go back a little. VA is 6.875. So you know how to do it. Let's say this is 6.875. There is no load variation till the point C. So I will carry on with this. Now you have 10 in your base. So 10 minus 6.875, which gives you 3.125. So here, let's go to the downside and will be done. Right. So this is 3.125, which becomes 0 eventually here. So this is A, this is point B, and this is point, sorry, this is point B and this is C. So I hope you have understood how to solve prop cantilevers with the help of two things. What we used basically, we used following things. We used free body diagram. I'm talking about the concepts. Second is definitely we used moment area method. Right. For this solution, we also used method of superposition. We also calculated SI of the system, and you should know how to find SI for the prop cantilever beam. Fifth is we also used COE, that is conditions of equilibrium, for further solutions, and finally we used SFD and BMD. But in all this process, what we learned as a new concept was the compatibility conditions. This was new for you today. So this was the crux of this numerical compatibility condition for joints. Because please understand, compatibility is primarily for joints. So every joint should be fulfilling this compatibility requirement. What was the compatibility requirement for joint B for us? It was this: YB plus VB times small bb should be 0. That means there should not be any vertical deflection at point B. So this is above equation. This equation is nothing but the elaborated form of this, right? Delta V should be 0 due to external load as well as due to redundant force. For both forces, this should be satisfied. So we did nothing actually. We just rearranged the quantities in such a way that we get the desired unknown quantities. And this, how this equation has evolved. This equation has evolved because of the method of superposition of combined effect of external load, that is W, and the load which was assumed as unit load as a redundant force. So it's a combined effect of redundant forces. Now, because we had to write this equation in compatibility equation in terms of vertical reaction, because we selected the vertical reaction as redundant. If you select moment as redundant, this equation will not be similar, it will be different. And in that case, we may not be effectively using moment area method for the same solution. So we may be using the conjugate beam method also, where the shear force is nothing but the area of the diagram, and the bending moment is nothing but the moment of that diagram at that particular point. So in the next class, I will be using the another method to solve this same problem, and we'll compare these answers again just for your satisfaction. And then it will, I will leave it up to you that which redundant you want to select. See, for prop cantilevers there are only two options to select redundant. One is either you go for reaction in terms of vertical reactions. For example, quickly I will explain, will not take much of your time. Suppose even let us say this is hinge also. So there are two options. Either I remove this support completely, so my structure becomes determinate, and in case other case, I convert this fixed beam into the simply supported beam by releasing it with the moment over here. So this is second case. So either you convert your prop cantilever into pure cantilever, or you convert it into the simply supported beam. These are the only two possibilities to make this structure determinate, and accordingly you can select the solution methods by writing the compatibility equations. Right. So in the initial discussion, we have seen how to write the compatibility equations. Here you can see that yb plus yb into yb. So in the next class, I'll be taking the second option for the calculation of the unknown quantity. Right. So till then, keep learning. Thanks for joining. This was the consistent deformation method used by, applied on the prop cantilever beam, and we'll see the other complexity and varieties in the future. Right. So our next class will be dedicated to the another option of considering moment as redundant, right? And then we'll see how to solve it. So come on, you can go to the next session, and thanks for joining here. Keep learning, stay safe. Thank you all.